Kalshi's been growing fast, over 1 million users and more than $2 billion in trade so far. I use it myself just to stay plugged in. It really is fun, whether it's inflation numbers, presidential odds, or even stuff like the Grammys. It's like a real-time sentiment tracker that actually reflects conviction. If you want to try it out, Kalshi's giving away $10 to anyone who signs up using my link and makes a $100 trade. Just go to Kalshi.com/Yannis, Yannis, and get in before the event closes.
Yannis, Pappas. Yeah. When you all tucked up in the day been long, and the news online going on and on, what's right and wrong, and there's something up. Now here comes a great kid you know you can trust. From the true who's who, to the news and cameras, to the fake politics and the propaganda. Yeah, this kid's screwed in, got a lot to say. Oh shit, it's about to be a long day. It's a long day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Yannis Pappas Hour. Want to give a big shout out to YMH. Nice to be over there and get their support from Jeans Up or whatever the slogan is over there. Personal shout out to Tom Segura. You know, everybody knows he's the brains behind that operation. So glad to be working with them. Hopefully bringing a little more money for the show. And, maybe some bigger numbers. Maybe they'll help promote it, and that'll be good. We don't want to get too big. I don't want to get too big. Is that weird? I don't want to get too big. It's a good problem that I don't have to think about that as a problem. So I got to quote Tim Dillon. He would say, here's the good news. That's not a problem that you have to worry about right now. But I honestly am saying, that joke aside, I don't want it to get I don't want that. Who wants that? There was a time where Club Shay Shay was just, it was half as big as it was. And if a woman sued you, she'd ask for 10 million or 6 million. But once you get really, really big, that pussy costs 50 million. It's just what it is. It's 50 million. It's just, the numbers go up. The retaliation numbers go up as your numbers go up. We see that in the tariff war. Our numbers go up, China's numbers went up. For every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction. So the bigger you get, the harder the dark energy, the bigger that gets. Not the harder, but the bigger. The bigger the energy goes here, the bigger the energy goes here. Because we're always looking to balance out Club Shay Shay. Club Shay Shay cannot be one of the biggest shows in America, and God just won't let it happen. So apparently the kid loves a little bowl of poos poos. He likes his couscous with his poos poos because he's being sued by an ex-girlfriend who's accusing him of rape. It's hard. I mean, I don't know the facts, so I won't make any judgments, and I don't want to know the facts. I'm not concerned about the facts. I'll let the legal system deal with Shay Shay. But I will say it's a $50 million lawsuit. I just say I'm always a little skeptical when it's an ex-girlfriend and they had a rocky consensual relationship. I'm not saying I'm skeptical of something happening. I'm skeptical of 50 million worth of damages happening. That's what I'm skeptical of. $50 million worth of damages. What is $50 million worth of damages in a consensual relationship? In a scorned post-consensual relationship? Doesn't the word consensual knock the number down to at least 12? I'm sorry, the most 12? I'm not speaking correctly, but you get the point. Doesn't the word consensual knock it down from, 50 is more of a non-consensual number. I don't know, especially in this economy. You expect to get 50 mil in this economy? It's tough. He should say, okay, I've heard your 50 million, but because of inflation right now and because of my investments in the market, I'm willing to negotiate at a cool consensual 8. Consensual 8. There's got to be a numerical correlation with the word consensual and non-consensual, right? And I just think 50 million is more of in the non-consensual category. 12 is great for consensual. Like, here's the thing, dog. If you go in at 50 million, you better have something on that videotape that's going to really put the pressure on the legal system. Because the word consensual in Rocky is going to be tough in a court of law. Even though they favor women generally, it's going to be tough. The word consensual is tough. It's going to knock your 50 million down unless that tape shows him doing non-consensual stuff in the consensual Rocky relationship where you're crying and you're resisting. I mean, 50 million, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to make light. I'm just looking at the facts and saying you better have something good, or I'm telling you, you have an over-ambitious lawyer who, you basically got Nico Harrison as your lawyer. Someone who's overplaying their hand. Because if you came in at a cold 8-10, Club Shay Shay may just go, you know what? Let me slip you 8-10 and this before it hits the press. Right? Dude, I'm telling you, my instincts are good. I promise you, I did not read this before he pulled it up and Jesse went, look like that. I promise you, because Shannon Sharpe, this next headline said, was nearing $10 million settlement with rape accuser before bombshell loss. So, come on. This is like the Palestinian negotiation for the fucking partition plan. Take the deal. Now you may lose the whole thing. You know how sometimes people do things that are so bad they get things named after them? Like, for example, Lou Gehrig's disease. Nobody knows what it's called. They just call it, I guess they call it ALS, but they don't know the words. I don't know the words. I call it Lou Gehrig's disease because someone famous got something so bad. Or if someone's really bad, they say he's like Hitler because he was so bad. I think Nico Harrison. I think Nico Harrison's fate on this planet, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, Nico Harrison is the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks who gave up Luka Doncic for a aging, always hurt, 31-year-old, borderline first team All-NBA player, sometimes second, and he gave up a 25-year-old at the time, MVP caliber player, one of the best in the world, not even in his prime yet, who carried his team with 3 injuries to the finals the previous year. The worst deal, it's even worse than Babe Ruth, I think, because I don't think the Red Sox knew he was going to become that type of offensive juggernaut. They gave him up as a pitcher. So you can't even say the curse of the Babe is as bad. The Luka deal is the worst trade in sports history. When you go to Dallas, they don't even, you would go, okay, where's the Palestine protests? You go, no, those people, you see a protest across, you go, these people, wow, I didn't know people love Palestinians here that much. You go, no, those are protests against Nico Harrison. Nico Harrison is Netanyahu in Dallas. And the protesters are against the killing in Gaza. That's what the Dallas fan base views the deal as genocide. So it just may be called a Nico Harrison deal. That's just what it may be called. And Shannon Sharpe may be engaged here against someone who's making a Nico Harrison deal. You should have took the 10 million. It's very, I'm gonna say, and I don't know nothing about the deal. I saw the word consensual and Rocky, and he had a relationship with her, and I saw that he offered her 10. Now that I saw that, I'm saying you're not gonna get the 50 million. I'm making a prediction on Kalshi. Worked it into the episode perfectly. I'm making a prediction on Kalshi, and Kalshi, let it be fun. Hopefully you don't make me do a redo, but make it fun. Let's put up a Shannon Sharpe poll. Will she get 50 mil or less? They probably won't even read this part because it won't be in the ad, but that's how you make it fun. If you really want to attract people to Kalshi, make it fun. What's the over-under? How high are the tariffs going to go? Will Trump slap a 2 million% tariff? Will he go to 30,000% tariff? How high will they go? I didn't even know it was possible to go past 100%. But he's at like, I think on one thing it's up to 1,000 something on solar panels from China, from the Southeast Asia or something like that. We'll look it up. Could you look that up at some point? But I don't want to distract you from what you're doing now, but I'd like to know because I did see that number and I found it pretty astounding. It's in the thousands. I think it's 1,000 something percent tariff on solar panels. So it's getting comical and it's very funny. And it would be nice to be on Kalshi. My point is sometimes you're in a Nico Harrison deal, right? If you're Yasser Arafat, looking back, I would say he probably made a Nico Harrison type deal. I would have taken it. You know how many lives probably would have been saved if they would have worked out some sort of partition plan. Maybe I'm wrong. But U.S. slaps 3,000. U.S. slaps 3,521% tariff on solar imports from Southeast Asia. I don't even want to read into the story. It's just funny. It's just funny that it's 3,521%. So what does that mean? A negative? What does that even mean?
I don't know. Make it $1 million.
Yeah, I mean, just at that point, just make it 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
At that point, why don't you say we're not buying anything? Why you even say who's going to send their product at that tariff? I guess it's one of those symbolic things when you give a criminal multiple life sentences.
5 life sentences.
Yeah, 5 life sentences. It's more like, hey, we're going to slap a 3,521% tariff on Southeast Asia solar panels. The point is, there's a lot of deals going on right now, and a lot of these deals can be understood in an allegory with Nico Harrison's deal for Luka. Another one, besides the Shannon Sharpe, did he rape this girl or not? Deal is Trump's deal with China and the rest of the world. At this point, you know, you're saying, okay, what do we got? We had a lot of talk during the campaign of what he was going to do. He says, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this on day one. Okay, what do we got? What do we got? I'm talking for you now. I'm taking on the mouthpiece of someone who voted for Donald Trump. What do you got in your pocket? You know what I'm saying? What do you got? What do we got going on? Where is inflation at? Is it still cooking? Okay, so the heat's still up there. All right? That's still in the oven. We're still watching that pie bake. The border, that seems like the most concrete promise fulfilled in these first, how many months has it been? Whatever it's been. Border crossings are down. Deportations, still, I'm pretty similar to Biden, but he's deporting people. But what do we got? According to Trump, we got a lot. But according to reality, we got a lot of talk. We got a lot of timeshare meeting vibe. Okay, so it feels like we've been pulled aside and asked if we want a free breakfast. And they say, hey, all you got to do is come in this office and let me tell you about some potential future benefits you can get if you really love this resort. Do you plan on vacationing in Cancun for the next 5 to 10 years? Well, we'd love to have you back. Here is a little package that might be nice for someone who's willing to vacation here for the next 5 to 10 years. You think you're going to die in 5 to 10 years? No. Do you think you're going to vacation anywhere else? No. So might as well, let's talk. Let's talk timeshare, baby. Let's talk timeshare. Right now, I am in a timeshare meeting. Right now, America is in a timeshare meeting listening to a pitch. We're being pitched on a lot of good things happening. A lot of countries want to make deals. A lot of things are happening. I'm going to fire this. I'm going to fire the chairman. No, I'm not going to fire him. Okay? So that's exactly what happens. I'm firing him. I'm calling for his resignation. And then The next couple days later, I am not firing him, but I want him to lower rates. We're not negotiating with China. Now we are making a deal with China, and quote unquote, I'm being very nice to China. And me and Z are getting very along, and we're going to make a deal. Did China say they were going to make a deal with the United States and capitulate? No, they didn't. Did Trump say he was going to make a deal with China and capitulate? Yes, he did. Did he say he wasn't going to do that before? Yes, he did. So he's saying both. So he's saying the tariff will come down substantially. Okay? We got a lot of Doge cuts that we're reading about. Okay? If you ask a merch-wearing MAGA supporter, they will tell you that the fraud and the waste is currently at $100,000 trillion. And then I'll say, am I in a timeshare right now? Because where are the receipts? You're using words like fraud. Fraud's a crime. That means that American people's tax-paying dollars was robbed, was used for fraud. So are we going to prosecute anyone? Is there any concrete numbers? Or is it just things that people have thrown around on X on articles from things that have .institute on them? I've seen a lot of .net and .institute numbers. But you would think there would be a lot of mainstream, concrete kind of, indictments for fraud. I think what are they claiming? I think Elon's claiming 21 billion, 20 billion, 25 billion. The number's changing all the time, and we don't really know what's going to happen because we're promised, or we should be promised, a concrete answer and indictments for fraud. Fraud is a crime. It's a serious one. Doge claim cuts have saved a whopping $115 billion. Boy, did I underestimate that, or around $700 per taxpayer. Okay, let's see it. And let's start some indictments.
This is from a couple of weeks ago.
So it could have went up, could have gone, but we don't know because Elon Musk is saying that he's stepping away from Doge, and just as he did, Tesla's stock went up a little bit, but god damn it, Tesla ain't selling the way that it did. It's fucking down 20% this quarter. That's a lot. And you want to know why? It's because he has a mouth on his face. So Tesla's struggling a little bit right now. I think their first quarter earnings are down 70-something% from last year's first quarter earnings. Total maybe 40%. But first quarter, right, 20%. So people are speaking with their pocket, and you want to go, dude, you got to choose, man. We're either going to be comedians or we're going to be experts. We're either going to be EV and satellite and rocket ship producers and tech entrepreneurs, or we're going to be Charlie Kirk impersonators. We have to kind of choose what we're going to be. We can't be Jake Paul. Only Jake Paul can be Jake Paul. Only Jake Paul can sell me deodorant and then also box Mike Tyson and then also make a funny video and then also have a reality show and then also be a wrestler and then also be whatever else he is. We can't all start acting like internet entrepreneurs whose job description contains a lot of slashes. I am boxer / entertainer / YouTube personality / entrepreneur / energy drink singer / deodorants. There's just a lot of slashes. Now we're going, I'm comedian / Middle East commentator / Elon Musk has joined the fray. He is now entrepreneur / fucking political commentator / ketamine addict. / cult leader. There's too many slashes. We got to remove the slashes. The slash not like that. That's a dash. I'm going /. There's a reality show now on. I mean, with his new fiance, I mean, what is love if it's not televised? I don't know whether I'm tuning into the Paul reality show or I'm tuning in to the Alec Baldwin reality show. But those are like the Coke and Pepsi of reality shows right now. His girlfriend, who's a Norwegian speed skater, is a goddamn bona fide piece from Norway. Jake Paul. I like Jake Paul. I think he's a good athlete. I think he's a trans woman in women's sports, though. I really do. I do think he's a trans woman in women's sports. I think he sets it up so he has a little bit of an advantage. You know, much like Leah Thomas when she was swimming with the boys, was at the bottom, the middle of the bottom of the pack. If he fought people his size and who actually were in that sport, I think we'd see him in the middle to the bottom. But we haven't seen that yet. But he's made a lot more money doing circus type of productions because that's what the people are into now is car crashes. We're tuning in, baby. We're tuning in for the car crash. I want to see, will Mike Tyson die in that fight? Will Jake Paul be arrested for elder abuse? You know, we all had this fantasy that Mike Tyson we're all going like, power is still late. And then he cancels. He cancels the first time because, like, I think his heart stopped for a second. So he had to postpone the fight. And then he beats up a smaller MMA guy again. But we all still tune in. We're really susceptible to car crashes and grifts right now. We're in entertainment. I can't look away from X for the For You page. I'm on the For You page. I want to see what's going on with the back and forth about debates. I can't turn away from Jordan Peterson. I don't know what he's saying. You know, he's like, the psychopaths and then the narcissists. We got to put up guardrails. You're like, can you just go back to helping working class Canadians figure out why they're obsessing over something too much and prescribe them a little low dose, which is what you are an expert in. And why don't we put up some guardrails against you? You're a mental health professional. That's your field. Now you're talking about Middle East? Everyone's talking about the Middle East? Without some sort of humility or any wink to what their profession really is. Kalshi is really fun. Not everyone just wants to throw a little juice on, sports. Now you can throw juice on things you really believe in. I mean, these polls actually are accurate. Remember, we wanted to go to Kalshi and we wanted to see what the odds are or who was going to win the tariff war. I mean, they got all types of cool cultural polls up there. Right now, the Canadian election market is super interesting. As of today, the liberals are trading at around 72% to win the most seats. So, it's what people believe, and they put their money where their mouth is, and they make fun, wages. So it's very interesting. Go on to Kalshi, check it out. I personally love this stuff because it gives you a sharper read on public sentiment, and you could make a little money too and have some fun. Forget the vibes or spin. This is what the market thinks. And just like we're saying on our show, it's all about the money, baby. That's where the truth is. Kalshi's been growing fast, over 1 million users and more than $2 billion in trade so far. I use it myself to just stay plugged in. I do. That's the truth. Whether it's inflation numbers, presidential odds, or even stuff like the Grammys, it's like a real-time sentiment tracker that actually reflects conviction. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving away $10 to anyone who signs up using my link and makes a $100 trade. Just go to Kalshi.com/Yannis, Yannis, and get in before the event closes. How about we put some guardrails up, like Jordan Peterson said, about people being outside of like what they do. That's where we're getting in trouble. That's where Pete Hegseth got in trouble. Okay. He's an excited guy, right? Maybe an older millennial or maybe a young Gen Zer.
40s.
He's jacked up on an energy drink. He's on a plane. He gets a text from Central Command from an actual military guy who's probably never been on Fox News and never wrote in a book. And he's saying, this is where we're about to attack. And the guy gets a little rush. He gets butterflies. He's like, imagine like, you play Call of Duty your whole life, and then they hand you the actual power to do this stuff for real. You're going to be a little excited when you first get the job. So he gets a little excited, and he does a little copy and paste. From what he previously touted as not being classified information. As it turns out, he directly copy and pasted from a known classified channel of military communication and copy and pasted it straight into a group chat, into a group text. That's what he did. He copy and pasted it right into a group text days after he was warned by an advisor to not do that and to be careful. Someone was probably, showing him around. When you get shown around, you're the new kid in school. They're like, all right, the number one rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. So he was probably getting shown around, and an advisor, who's from the deep state, who's, probably across administrations, some military advisor probably goes, okay, the number one rule about being in your job is you don't talk about the things that we do in your job on non-secure outlets. So that was probably like, they told him that like Fight Club. And then a couple days later, that just shows you when you get horned up, you can't do it. You can't stop it. You can't stop it. So of course he's pushed back on these latest revelations that he shared. Absolutely, what's the word? Certified, proved. What's a good word there? Detailed, documented, classified war plans. So now we know that he was lying when he said they weren't classified. And so how has he pushed back? He's pushing back with lying again. And he said, if you remember, I said no one is texting war plans. What was shared over Signal then, which surfaced last month and now was informal, unclassified coordination for media coordination and other things. I don't know what that means. Did you know what that means? Did anyone know what that means? What is unclassified coordinations for media coordination and other things? What are other things? When people are caught, you just got to talk a lot and you got to be vague. The word things that's a good one. These things and other things. Things is a good word. You get caught cheating on your text. There was on another thing, and I was at another thing. I couldn't have been with her because I was at this other thing. Thing is a word that just comes in when you don't have time to plan. There was other things going on. There was media things. There was unclassified media things. I was coordinating unclassified coordinations of media coordinations. That's an exact quote. Now was informal unclassified coordinations for media coordinations and other things was his direct statement. Quote, end quote, close quote. So we're in a timeshare pitch right now, waiting to see. The tariff thing doesn't seem to be going so good thus far. But remember, guys, he wrote The Art of the Deal. So don't fret. The kid wrote a book. So don't be upset. And if you listen to our bonus episode, patreon.com/Yannis Pappas Hour, we covered that. We went over Trump's business failings and some of the things in The Art of the Deal. So you might want to join to support the show. We need your support. And there's a full bonus episode about that. That's up there. And everyone who's over there, very happy you're over there. We're very small and mighty, but, it keeps the show going. It keeps the expenses here paid for, and I appreciate you very much. So finally, his Treasury Secretary, who's the gay guy, right? The $3 bill. What's his name? $3 what?
Scott Bessent.
$3 Scott Bessent. I guess he just couldn't spin it anymore. He just couldn't spin it. He just couldn't. He looked at the the facts. He looked at the way China was reacting. He looked at their yuan has only depreciated, just 1% since all this has started. And he went and he met with Trump and he said, I can't continue to support you publicly. We just can't. The deal over with China is maybe it wasn't a good idea to declare war against 1 billion ninjas. Maybe ninjas, because one thing that the CCP is good at is making Chinese people disappear. And ninjas disappear, right? So that's the thing. If 1 million people disappear from starvation, you go, was that because of the tariffs and their economy hitting the skids? Or was that because they're ninjas? There's no way to prove it's not because they're ninjas, because they're ninjas. So basically he said, we don't have any ninjas here. Okay, that we can't fit into the suits. We got a lot of fat, lazy people who want to know where their money is, and they want a new TV every year. They want a new TV every year, and they need their iPhone every 2 years. So what are we doing here? I can't continue to support you. So he just released a statement, and he just went out there and he gave a speech, and he just said, we gotta stop. Right? He just said, we got to stop. We need de-escalation. I expect de-escalation. What did he say exactly? He said, it doesn't bode well. He said it doesn't bode well.
He said the ongoing tariff showdown against China is unsustainable and that he expects a de-escalation in the trade war between the two world's largest economies. Okay,
that's right after a phone call. And he says, he says, but can I tweet? He goes, yeah. Trump's talking, because Trump's talking a lot. Trump's talking. And he goes, yeah, he's trying to cut him off every second. He goes, yeah. Can I tweet it though? Yeah. But can I tweet it though? Yeah. No. When you're on the phone with a marketer and they're going through the protocol and you're like, stop talking so much. I just want to know if my auto pay is on. Just answer that question. Stop talking. Stop reading your sheet. Stop telling me the things you have to read because your corporate overlord said this call was going to be reviewed. Nobody reviews the call. I've never stuck around on a fucking call after I've talked to someone with a Filipino accent and rated them. I just want to get off the phone. I don't want to spend 45 minutes talking about why my daughter's health care was discontinued and why her primary was switched to a default primary. I know what you're doing. This is why a CEO got killed. You're trying to fucking get a couple of months where I don't pay, and this is part of your modus operandi, and I don't want to hear you ask me again if this was a good number to call you back in case we get disconnected, and I don't want you to ask me for my full name and middle name again, and I don't want you to ask me for my fucking address, or if anything's changed in the last couple months. It hasn't. I'm still their father. This obviously happened today, and I wanted to shoot a CEO. I understand the frustration. Obviously, don't shoot the CEOs, but I understand the fucking shit because I know what they're doing. They shut off your fucking shit and go, I don't know how this happened. You're going, I was on auto pay. How could this happen? And they have no answer, and then you get a new chick from fucking the Philippines or someplace else whose accent is hard to understand. And so you're straining to understand, and you're angry, and you can't choke them. So then you go, where's the CEO vacationing? I'm going to carve it in the bullets. Because I know you canceled the insurance for 3 months without my knowing, so you could save a couple, whatever the number is. So you could come out ahead on your bottom line. And they do it to everybody. Constantly shifting things around. They're like credit card companies. Like, if you're diligent, they don't like that. So if you're diligent, where they're worse than because credit card companies, they benefit off everyone not having the money to be able to pay it back then. So they don't have that comfort, right? So what the healthcare companies do is if you are diligent, right, they Tanya Harding you. They Tanya Harding you, and they have you by the balls, and so they don't give you an explanation. You yell and scream for an explanation, but then you're just so happy that it's turned back on and you have no other options. Except for finding out where a CEO is vacationing and dedicating your life to a cause. I'm just saying I understand the frustration. I'm just saying I understand the fucking frustration, dog. I went through it today. 47 minutes of my life. And you would not believe how in the wrong and how inexplicable that her insurance was discontinued was. And then I got the letter saying you got to pay the $15 re-enrollment fee. Then I speak to her and she goes, you don't have to pay the $15 enrollment fee. And I said, okay, what's your CEO's name? Where is he vacationing? I want to make history because I know I can't get to you because you're in the Philippines. Sorry. I'm not justifying anything. I'm just doing a comedy bit on the feelings behind what culminated in a heinous act where, you know, an angel from God with a face, with the face of an angel and a six-pack of a UFC fighter who just cut weight for his fight, where this beautiful angel sent a demon to hell. I'm just kidding. It's never right. It's never right, and the kid's got to go to prison. But you can certainly understand people's frustrations. You don't want it to come to that. You don't. Nobody deserves that, except for a CEO of... I'm just saying, nobody deserves that. But there's exceptions to every rule, like the ancient Greeks say. I'm not saying that. I'm not being callous. I'm just speaking emotionally as someone who had to spend 47 minutes of their day today doing this shit. Anyway, I got sidetracked. And hopefully I can remember where I got sidetracked, but it had something to do with something about our secretary, the secretary of the Treasury, right? And right, so he's on the phone. He says, "Can I tweet it?" So however I got sidetracked, I won't remember. And he tweeted it. He says, "I've had enough." He called the AP immediately. He said, "Release this fucking statement before this guy changes his mind, so at least there's someone putting on paper capitulating." I'm waving the fucking white flag. So, thankfully, maybe, I don't know, depending on how you look at it, Trump followed suit, gave an interview, and said, "We're going to work it out." What? He goes, what's everybody panicking about? Everyone's panicking as if the stock market, what's everyone panicking about? You're panicking as if your 401k plan is worth $0 and you're about to retire tomorrow. Calm down. Things are going just as planned. Remember, I wrote The Art of the Deal. What's everyone, I love the calmness of it. Like, what's going on? Everything is going swimmingly. I just spoke to Z. We're getting along great. We can expect the deal soon. But he's been saying things for a long time now. It's a lot easier to campaign than to govern. You got big ideas, you come in and you test them out, and you get a litmus test real quick. In these first months, what is it, 6 months now or something? I guess he's done what they used to call in the advertising business a little bit of a test, a little market research. He's done a little market research. And I think what he found is a little bit of what Nico Harrison found. We didn't expect the fallout to be what it was. Nico Harrison, you know what also is a theme that I'm noticing right now, and that's what this show does. We find themes. We find these themes like a crazy person would. I do like a schizophrenic, and I try to see themes and things that are related that aren't related. But Nico Harrison gave a press conference. So I'm seeing this theme about people who should just be away. Like they're continuing to try to, what's the expression? To try to screw in a bolt into a square peg. Like they're trying, like Nico Harrison, take the L, baby. Okay? You have to walk around with security. Dallas is angry at you. This will never not be the worst deal in sports history. It will now be called, you're doing a Nico Harrison. When you get fucked in my business, someone from now on will go, "Oh my God, they Nico Harrisoned you. You got Nico'd." It's just the way it's going to be. But he gave another press conference where he's just making himself look even fucking stupider by saying, "Yeah, to be honest, I still stand behind the deal." He goes, my defense wins He's standing behind this stupid thing, defense wins championships, as if we all don't know that they went to the finals. They were the second best team the year before, and that Luka Doncic had 3 injuries. We all know this. And he's continuing to say, my job is to the Mavericks and to do what's best for the Mavericks. And he's ignoring the fact that people are saying, you did the worst thing for the Mavericks. And then he admitted, he goes, yeah, he laughed about it. He goes, yeah, I guess I underestimated the effect that this would have on the fan base. You know, they've had to like give away season tickets. They've had to offer refunds for people with season tickets. I mean, this season was an absolute disaster. He had an idea and he said, we want to win now. And then the next thing you know, Jason Kidd is playing a Kyrie Irving like 100 minutes a game. You know, he blows out his whole body. And then Anthony Davis comes and plays for 1 game, and he sits out the rest of the season until the play-in game. And they're not in the playoffs. They went from a team in the finals last year to a team that's not even in the playoffs. And that, there's no way to get on the mic after that and say, I'm doing what's best for the Mavericks. There's just no way to say defense wins championships, because the facts look like what wins championships is Nico Harrison not making GM decisions. So now we have this theme of people talking more than they should talk. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Nico, they're all pulling what we call a Nico Harrison, baby. Stop giving press conferences, all right? If you want to negotiate with a country, call them up on the phone. Don't tweet first that we're slapping tariffs on Mexico and Canada, all of our friends that we were hoping would join us against China. You didn't think for 1 second they were going to panic and go like, well, if you're fucking us, then we have to go to China because I'm not going to make my people suffer the way you're willing to make your people suffer. So he's got to walk it back. He's walking it back. He's moonwalking, and we may end up just being back at the tariffs that originally started. We may end up back in those numbers. It's market research. It's market research. It's a timeshare pitch. And China warns countries against striking trade deals with the U.S. at its expense. So China went full fucking kamikaze. China went, you know, that's what we're doing in Ukraine, right? We're going all in because we don't want, it's not that we want the shit necessarily. We don't want it to fall into Russia's hands. We don't want the fucking minerals to fall into China's hands. So we're all in. We're dumping, we're going kamikaze with money into it because we don't want to give up that dominance. Right? We don't want to give up that dominance, the military dominance. We don't want to give them the titanium. We don't want to give China any leverage. And China just did the same thing economically because they know we're fucking hooked. They know we need those tchotchkes. They know it, dude. You don't think they have data on every single person in America and they watch us just sitting there scrolling? You don't think they know how long we stop at McDonald's ads and Burger King ads? They know. We'll scroll right past accurate historical educational TikTok to park our eyesight at a McDonald's embedded user-generated ad. They know what kind of pieces of shit we are, and they know we're consumer-based, and we want to feed our faces until we're full. So they go, you want to play this game, bud? You want to play this game? Well, guess what? Guess what? Hey, listen, rich Jewish chick on Fifth Avenue with that Fendi bag that paid $30,000 for it. It cost us 50 cents to make. And it's made in China, accordion hands. They start trolling us on their own fucking server. Trolling us, telling us the secrets that made in Italy is nothing. They're pulling the mask off. And much like a Disney character in Disney World, boom, it's a Chinese guy. You pull off what you thought was Arturo Giasalabini's face, and it's Yang Yang Wing. Just like when you pull off a Disney costume and you think it's going to be a beautiful American. It's just an undocumented immigrant from Venezuela. They're pulling the mask back, trolling us, letting us know that our top-of-the-line products are no different than the other products, and you're basically paying for the Fendi emblem. So they trolled us there. That was a slight funny troll. But not only did they do that, they kamikazed. They said to other countries, here's a warning. You side with the United States over us, we're going to squeeze you too. We're willing in this deadly game of General Tso's chicken. We are ready to not flinch. And make zero mistake, this was a game of General Tso's chicken. Beijing will firmly oppose any party striking any deal at China's expense and will take countermeasures in a resolute and reciprocal manner. And when it comes from a Chinese guy, you just believe it more than you do Trump. Because King Z doesn't bullshit, right? He says, hey, I told you not to watch that thing. Or Jack Ma, I told you to close your mouth. Jack Ma, I told you to stop talking favorably about open markets. Did I not? Did I not tell you to stop touting open market capitalism as the reason? Did I tell you to close your mouth? And Jack Ma says, yeah, but I got used to my comfort and my power and I got a square head and, I'll do what I want because I'm a powerful entrepreneur. And then Jack Ma, he just disappeared. And how can you prove it's because Jack Ma's not a ninja? Because we go, what happened to Jack Ma? Who's basically at the time you could say he was like, a very vocal, in front of the camera, known billionaire in China, much like Elon Musk. It would be like if Elon Musk just disappeared for 2 months. Don't you think that would be headline news? In China, it's not even in the newspaper. They didn't even talk about it. We were talking about it. The only people covering it was Western media going, hey, it seems like Jack Ma's disappeared. But nobody in China was allowed to talk about it. And he just disappeared for a little while, And of course, they can't make him disappear forever because he's Jack Ma and the rest of the world's going, whoa. But they made him disappear for long enough for Jack Ma to get the picture. For Jack Ma to know, like, hey, we're ninjas. Remember, we're ninjas. We can become invisible. Like the great Mr. Pano said, they turn invisible. We can live underground. We're ninjas. People can disappear. And if you ask him, go, what happened to Jack Ma? King Z will say, oh, you didn't know? We're ninjas. We can sometimes disappear for 2 months and enter a re-education camp where we're tortured with water. It can happen. It's very funny. It's, we have this, we're in this pickle, We thought China was this weak. They've been walked all over country for a long time. We didn't think we're coming off of Russia falling. We're saying Russia's gone. Let's take our business to China. They're happy to have it. We're not Britain. They're not mad at us. All they want to do is make some money. And we just didn't see it coming. We just didn't see their expansionist motives, ambitions. We just didn't see it. And now we're in a pickle because we got them by the balls. They got us by the balls. Because make no mistake, they do have us by the balls, but we also have them by the balls. But what we found out here is one of them is willing to let their people suffer more than the other because one doesn't have to get reelected. One doesn't have midterm elections. So unless Donald Trump can put everybody in Guantanamo Bay, like this guy in El Salvador, who has solved crime by just putting everyone with a dick in prison. If you want to go right now and meet a woman who's hot and bring her to the United States on a goddamn immigration visa through marriage, El Salvador is the country from you because they got no men. He has put 85,000 men in prison. And I understand they had a massive crime crisis. But this guy just got in office. And I'm not even saying I don't know if it could have been handled another way. But right now, the safest country in the world is El Salvador because there's just no men. I mean, this is just like a feminist dream come true. And also, they're right. Feminists are right. Guys do crime. When women do crime, you know, what do they do? What do they do? You know, sue you for $50 million 10 years later after they were in relationships with you? Okay. That's a shakedown, probably. That's what they do. They don't do violent crime. You don't actually walk the streets in fear of female gangs, right? You know, if I got attacked by a female gang, I'd take my dick out and start jerking off. Sorry. I'm just joking. I'm just saying. If a guy got attacked by a female gang, some guys are into that. It might get hard. So right now, it's just safer than Connecticut. I mean, really, El Salvador. And it's sad. I mean, I don't know if it's sad. A lot of these guys are probably criminals. But I'm not sure if there was 85,000 criminals there. They put everyone in jail. And it is just a concentration camp, right? I mean, you look at the pictures and you're going, holy shit. They're all in underwear. And I mean, they just rounded everybody up. It definitely solved the crime problem, but it also created a problem of not being able to reproduce because you can't rub two vaginas together to get a baby. So Americans, go to El Salvador and meet a woman, right? Become a gringo with a green card for a nice lady who wants a better life. And look at them. Look at that El Salvador. Look at Miss Universe. At one point, was she the winner?
Yeah, Miss El Salvador.
What am I saying? El Salvador? Am I getting the right country?
Yeah, El Salvador.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Sometimes I get confused with countries I don't give a shit about. You know, Chile, El Salvador. Sometimes you just get confused. Bolivia. Just a couple of countries that, you know, it's sort of like, you know what it's like? It's like playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, you're like, oh, yeah, they're good, aren't they? Like, you know, they don't get a lot of TNT cover. You just go, oh, yeah. Oh, the Minnesota Timberwolves. What? How was their year? What's their record? Like, that's like when El Salvador makes the news, or Bolivia. I mean, when's the last time anyone thought about Bolivia? Like, I'm certain there's some people watching now going, oh, yeah, Bolivia. Like, just Bolivia. But I'm telling you, I want to go to El Salvador.
No.
I'm married. I can't. But, I mean, it's a good time to go if you're a guy. It's a good time to go if you're a guy and you're a gringo and you're not in an MS-13. It's a good time because he's locked up everyone. And now we're sending our illegal immigrants to this place, which seems maybe for some of them a bit extreme. Maybe they don't belong there. But you know what? I think now El Salvador is dealing with that in a way that I'd say doesn't consider the freedoms that we often take for granted, one of which being due process. Because we got our Maryland man, and the Supreme Court said you got to bring him back, and Trump just said I can't bring him back because the president of El Salvador is saying I won't release him, and he's in El Salvador now. So talk to him. And it just so happens that for every person we send to this prison in El Salvador, they get money. We pay for it. So they have a financial incentive to take our illegals. So that's what's going on right now. Again, money talks. So Trump was able to find a solution. He's putting them in Guantanamo Bay, and he's putting them here. Right? So the guy's not originally from El Salvador, right? He's El Salvadorian? All right, so Maryland man, not to be confused with the Marlboro man, is Kilmar Albrego Garcia. He married an American chick or whatever. She had daughters before, or he had daughters before. They got a couple daughters. The kid was working somewhere. He had a work visa, whatever. You know, everyone's all up in arms about this guy because of due process. The Democrats are saying, you know, he's just an honest guy. The Republicans are saying that he's Hitler. I don't know. He's never been arrested for a crime. Is he a guy, MS-13? The evidence is from one confidential informant in 2019 said that he was a part of the New York chapter, even though he lives in Maryland. So it seems a little tentative. Even Trump's administration has admitted that it's an administrative error, but they go whoopsie. They're just going whoopsie. They're going whoopsie, and then they're saying, I can't get him out. But right-wing media, and what I mean by that is, Tim Pool, who's now the new Fox News, You know, they're really eating their words on the right about Zelensky not wearing a suit to the White House. Did you see what Tim Pool was dressed like?
You got a beanie on.
Tim Pool was dressed like he just stood up in his living room after he put his video game on pause. You know,
His DoorDash.
I mean, it's just not a good look. And then also, do you remember Kid Rock just was like in there? And how about Elon Musk with his bouncer checking IDs outfit? I mean, not everybody is respecting the White House. You remember those guys? You're like, do you have a suit? Put on a suit. You don't own one suit? And then you got Tim Pool just showing up with his fucking sweatshirt and beanie. You got Kid Rock in there wearing some type of stupid outfit. And you got Elon Musk in there wearing a baseball cap and like jeans. So that didn't really age well for them, the whole J.D. Vance comment. But anyway, Tim Pool, they're now inviting new media to their press conferences. And Tim Pool, not to be confused with any Tim Pool who who may not be insecure about their hair, or any other Tim Pool that you may know who may not have unwittingly been funded by Russian intelligence. Remember that?
Yep.
Don't confuse that Tim Pool with the Tim Pool you may know who's got a full head of hair. Or don't confuse it with the Tim Pool you may know who doesn't have a full head of hair but is okay with it. Because that would be a different Tim Pool. Because this Tim Pool doesn't have a full head of hair, and he's not okay with it. He sleeps with a winter hat on. He's indoors. He's always got the beanie on. And also when he takes pictures, he stands on his tippy toes. There's been a few of those that he's been caught on his tippy toes. That's very funny to me.
He's a squeak.
He's a squeak, so he stands on his tippy toes. And there's been a few pictures where he's caught doing it. And it's very funny. So not to be confused with another Tim Pool who might not be insecure about his height and his hair, or the funding from Russian intelligence. Not to be confused with that Tim Pool, is now invited to the White House, and he wanted to know, about the legacy medias and they believe the Covington story and the another story,
Fine people
story, Fine People hoax. Which is the Covington story certainly true. The fine people story, I would say that mostly true, because Trump was still saying there's very fine people who were chanting, "You will not replace us," right? So even though he was saying both sides, they had some fine people, it was edited to make it worse than it was, but he was still saying there was good people on the other side, right?
Yeah, but if he played the whole clip, he outright denounced the white supremacists.
Right.
Stuff, yeah.
So he, in a follow-up statement, but in that statement, in that part of the statement, he was saying there's fine people there too.
Right.
Which there could have been. There still could be some fine people who don't want Jews to replace them. Wasn't that march?
Some family values.
Was that Charlottesville?
Charlottesville, yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't that we don't replace us, or was that the Tiki Torch? No, Tiki Torches was another thing. This was when they ran over protesters.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So what were they protesting for that side
that,
with the very fine people?
Was that the statues where they were tearing down statues?
I don't remember.
Or the flags? I can't remember. It's a long time ago.
I don't know. But that he condemned them in a follow-up statement. Here's my point, and that's why I say mostly true. That he condemned them in a follow-up statement means that, he also said amongst them were some good people. So that's kind of a contradiction, no? A little bit?
Yeah, I don't know the details of it.
Yeah. So I would say he's right, but not as right as with the Covington story. The Covington story was a complete, it was tweeted from an account in Brazil. It was edited. It went out before anyone knew the facts. And the kid actually sued and won big money for media outlets. So that's a little different. But he has a point on both of them. He's got a point on that. And what was the other one he said?
The Maryland man hoax.
And now so he quoted those two, very fine people, Covington and the Maryland man.
Yeah.
All right. What we know about the Maryland man, for sure, is that it seems like the picture that Donald Trump shared of him with his fingers was digitally altered. So maybe Donald Trump reshared something that was digitally altered. That's what it seems like the consensus is amongst tech experts or whatever. Could be wrong. It could be in MS-13. He definitely was with other gang members who had gang affiliate, or at least gang affiliated people when he was stopped and questioned about a murder outside of Home Depot. So who knows? But he himself, there's no direct evidence besides a confidential informant saying he was MS-13. He fled to America because he was being threatened by gangs. Maybe that's because he's in a rival game. Very well could be. We don't know. I'm just saying what is known is that he's never committed a crime. He's never been arrested for a crime. He's legally here. He came illegally, but he was offered whatever protection because of the fear for his life or whatever the fuck, asylum, whatever immigration lawyer would know it. And he's in Maryland. And he's being accused of being part of an MS-13 chapter in New York. Very well could be. Doesn't matter at this point because he is in this, he's in the Shangri-La of jails in El Salvador. And the Democrats have chosen this as their example of lack of due process. And they make a point. There was and the Supreme Court has actually ruled on this and said, yes, you have to bring him back. He was wrongfully deported by law. And Trump's just saying, I can't do that because this guy won't send him back because he's calling him a terrorist. He doesn't like releasing terrorists. And he goes, this is now a foreign relations matter, so the court's not relevant. And so everyone's on the ice, skating around. And so the Supreme Court's ruling is not being honored. And Trump's saying, I can't, it's out of my hands. You got to talk to him. And he's saying, I won't do it. And then people are saying, hey, he's not doing it because he's in bed with Trump, which he is. And he's also has a financial incentive to keep him, which he does. So this is one of those can't make omelets without breaking a few eggs type of scenario. Unfortunately, this kid he's an egg. Unfortunately, it sounds like he may be an egg. So I don't know what the hoax is here. Has it turned out that he actually is a gang member? Do we know for certain? We don't know, right? So Tim Pool is tossing it in there because Tim Pool might have some Russian-farmed information that may confirm it. I don't know. But what's the latest? I'm admitting I am following this as you are. He remains in El Salvador right now. Maryland man, because it's easier to say than Albrego Garcia, whatever, 3 names. And discussions about whether or not he can return to the United States continue, even though the Supreme Court, they unanimously ruled. Wow. So it's a unanimous ruling, too, that Trump has to facilitate his return. And I think Pam Bondi has even said, yeah, we interpret that as we will facilitate his return. We'll pay for his transportation back. But the problem is the El Salvador guys are going, we're not releasing him because he's a terrorist. So we're at an impasse. And I got to be honest, I don't give a shit. I don't know. I understand. Well, I kind of do, right? I mean, a little bit. I guess you want to make sure people have due process. So I shouldn't say that, but I have to not lie to you. I don't give a shit. I don't know. I'm more concerned about my money. Is that bad? The only thing I've been concerned about is tariffs because this type of shit's going to happen. Hopefully it's not an indication of us jettisoning the rule of law or whatever. I hope not, but I can't, you can only worry about so much. I mean, how do people worry about this and their stock portfolio at the same fucking time? I'm supposed to worry about Maryland, man. I'm supposed to worry about fucking constitutional crisis. I don't give a shit. If it's a dictatorship and that dictatorship makes my stock portfolio go up, I mean, what do I care? I'm not 10 years old. I'll tell my daughters, okay, now you have to salute Trump and we put a painting up. He likes that. He seems to like that. When you give him a portrait, we'll survive. If he becomes a dictator, we'll survive. I'll get a MAGA hat. I got MAGA in my family. We'll be fine. They're not going to let me go into a fucking El Salvador camp or my kids. And we just fucking give him a portrait. All you got to do is give this guy a portrait. Putin just gave him a portrait. Colorado repainted portrait. He's got like 3 or 4 portraits of himself up in the White House currently. It's what he likes. He just wants a portrait. He just wants to see himself. I'll survive. Either way. Is that wrong? Is that wrong? I mean, I want to care a lot about the Maryland man. I really do want to care a lot about the Maryland man. But I'm lost in this fog of my Tesla stock tanking. I'm lost in this fog of my doughs tipped in the water of the market, and now there's no water, so I'm touching the ground and I'm feeling soil. What happened to the water? My toes were in the water. I put my toes in the market, and the water dried up. So I'm worried about that. Not just for myself, but really only for myself. No, not just for myself, but because of what this could imply as far as the future tensions with China, Taiwan. Peace is when everyone's making money. Let's get back to making money. Let's get off the morality tip for a second. Let's get off the morality tip for just a little bit. Just a moratorium on morality until we can fix the tchotchkes being 99 cents to $2 to keep everybody happy. That's all I'm saying. And Elon Musk, shut up. That's still my position. Close your mouth. And Donald Trump, close your mouth. Do it privately. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, close your mouth. You know who else should close their mouth? Nico Harrison. Want to give a shout out to forthefree.art. As always, music in Hawaii, hosts free shows, posts free music by local artists. Go check out their website, forthefree.art. It's a very cool peruse. I like to peruse stuff. Also go peruse indigolabsagency.com. That's our good friend Nate Linder. It's his marketing agency. He recently quit his full-time corporate America job to pursue his marketing agency full-time, and he's really good. I've used them in the past. I know PCB Tech Art has used him in the past. So go check out Nate. He's focused on real business results like revenue and new customer acquisition, not just clicks. He's been killing it. So go to indigolabsagency.com. Marketing solutions backed by data and proven by impact. Also want to say what's up and give a shout out to rebels-raiders.com. Go check out that website. You can go find all types of cool stuff. Of course, the GOAT shirts are always there. They go to GOAT charities. And this guy's been 5-star reviewed. He's got a diamond level transparency and gold level authenticity award by Judge Me, the independent review platform. So he's got all types of cool stuff, plate carriers, medical bags, rifle slings, and dropping soon in multicam and MB1 woodland camo. So I guess the rifle slings will be dropping in multicam and MB1 woodland camo. So check it out. He sells out a lot, so go check it out. Rebels-Raiders.com. Sign up for restock alerts. Then we're going to Suds Auto Spa in Bridgeville, south of Pittsburgh. Hit them up, 412-564-5033. info@sudsautospa.com. @suds_auto_spa on Instagram. Car capsule units, storage solutions, paint protection, ceramic coatings will travel. The bigger the job, the farther they will travel. But if you're in Pittsburgh or the Bridgeville area, give them a looky-see. PCB Tech Art. Go get yourself that goddamn power nest right now. Do it. Just go buy one. Support PCB Tech Art and you'll like it, right? Put your phone in it. Your phone should not play hide and seek with your car's charger. Also, the Power Sphere, very cool. Makes your car smell nice. Links right on there to the air conditioner. Very cool. Nice designs. Go to PCBTechArt.com. Also, they'll bring whatever design you have to fruition. Yannis 10 for 10% off. Whatever you order from them, and go check them out, PCBTechArt.com.